UL listed and UL recognized are distinct types of certifications provided by Underwriters Laboratories, all a globally recognized safety organization. Understanding the difference between these certifications is crucial when selecting electrical components, particularly terminal blocks. UL listing means that UL has tested representative samples of a product and determined that it meets UL requirements for safety. These products have been evaluated for foreseeable hazards, such as electric shock, fire, and mechanical hazards. UL-listed products undergo periodic surveillance by UL to ensure continued compliance with safety standards. This surveillance may involve factory inspections and retesting of products. UL-listed products are often required by codes and regulations for specific applications, especially where safety is critical. UL recognition, on the other hand, is a component-level certification. It means that UL has evaluated the component for use in a complete product or system. UL-recognized components are typically not intended for stand-alone use and must be further evaluated when incorporated into the final product. UL recognition focuses on the component's performance within a specific application or system rather than its overall safety as a standalone product. Products with UL-recognized components may still need to undergo UL listing to ensure the safety of the complete product. DIN rail-mounted terminal blocks are widely used in industrial control panels and other electrical equipment for connecting and terminating wires. These terminal blocks are typically 4 to 6 mm wide and are designed to snap onto a standard DIN rail for easy installation and maintenance. While many DIN rail-mounted terminal blocks are UL-recognized, finding UL-listed terminal blocks may require more specific searches and consideration of the intended application. To determine whether a UL-listed DIN rail-mounted terminal block is available, it is essential to consult the UL Product IQ database. This online database allows you to search for UL-listed products by category, manufacturer, and other criteria. You can also contact terminal block manufacturers directly to inquire about their UL-listed offerings. When searching for UL-listed DIN rail-mounted terminal blocks, consider the specific requirements of your application, such as voltage, current, wire size, and environmental conditions. Ensure that the selected terminal block meets or exceeds these requirements to ensure safe and reliable operation. The choice between UL-recognized and UL-listed terminal blocks depends on the application and applicable codes and regulations. If a UL-listed product is required, it is essential to specify this requirement when selecting terminal blocks. If a UL-recognized component is acceptable, ensure that the final product or system undergoes appropriate evaluation and testing to meet applicable safety standards. Several factors contribute to the cost of UL listing versus UL recognition. UL listing typically involves more extensive testing and ongoing surveillance, which can increase the cost of the product. However, the added assurance of safety and compliance may justify the higher cost in critical applications. When evaluating terminal blocks, consider the following electrical characteristics. Firstly, the voltage rating, which is the maximum voltage that the terminal block is designed to withstand safely. Ensure that the voltage rating meets or exceeds the maximum voltage in the circuit. Secondly, the current rating, which is the maximum continuous current that the terminal block can carry without overheating or causing damage. Select a terminal block with a current rating that meets or exceeds the maximum current in the circuit. Thirdly, the wire size, which is the range of wire sizes that the terminal block can accommodate. Ensure that the terminal block can accommodate the wire sizes used in the application. Fourthly, the insulation material, which is the type of material used to insulate the terminal block. Select an insulation material that is suitable for the environmental conditions in the application, such as temperature, humidity, and exposure to chemicals. Fifthly, the flammability rating, which is the ability of the insulation material to resist burning. Select a terminal block with a flammability rating that meets applicable safety standards. The flammability rating is often expressed as a UL94 rating, such as UL94V0 or UL94V-2. In addition to the electrical characteristics, consider the following mechanical characteristics. Firstly, the terminal type, which is the type of connection used to secure the wires to the terminal block. Common terminal types include screw terminals, spring clamp terminals, and push-in terminals. Select a terminal type that is appropriate for the application and the skill level of the installer. Secondly, the mounting method, which is the way the terminal block is mounted to the DIN rail. Common mounting methods include snap-on and screw-on. Select a mounting method that is easy to use and provides a secure connection. Thirdly, the housing material, which is the type of material used to construct the terminal block housing. Select a housing material that is durable and resistant to environmental factors. Fourthly, the operating temperature, which is the range of temperatures within which the terminal block can operate safely. Ensure that the operating temperature range meets the requirements of the application. Fifthly, the dimensions, which is the physical size of the terminal block. Ensure that the terminal block is small enough to fit in the available space and that it provides adequate clearance for wiring. When selecting terminal blocks, it is important to comply with applicable codes and standards such as the National Electrical Code, NEC, and other relevant standards. The NEC provides requirements for the selection and installation of electrical equipment, including terminal blocks. Article 408.35 of the NEC covers terminal blocks. It specifies the requirements for terminal blocks used in enclosures. The NEC requires that terminal blocks be listed for the intended use and that they be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. The NEC also specifies requirements for the spacing between terminal blocks and other components, as well as the wire bending space within the enclosure. Other relevant standards for terminal blocks include UL 1059, which covers terminal blocks for use in electrical equipment, and IEC 60947-7-1, which covers terminal blocks for low voltage switchgear and control gear assemblies. These standards provide requirements for the design, construction, and testing of terminal blocks. In addition to complying with codes and standards, it is important to follow best practices for the installation and maintenance of terminal blocks. These best practices include, firstly, using the correct tools for the job. Use the appropriate tools for stripping, crimping, and tightening connections. Secondly, following the manufacturer's instructions. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for installation and maintenance. Thirdly, tightening connections properly. Tighten connections to the manufacturer's specified torque. Fourthly, inspecting connections regularly. Inspect connections regularly for looseness or corrosion. Fifthly, replacing damaged terminal blocks. Replace damaged terminal blocks promptly. To properly install DIN rail terminal blocks, you will need a few essential tools. Firstly, a DIN rail cutter. This tool is used to cut the DIN rail to the desired length. Secondly, a wire stripper. This tool is used to remove the insulation from the ends of the wires. Thirdly, a crimping tool. This tool is used to crimp ferrules onto the ends of the wires. Fourthly, a screwdriver. This tool is used to tighten the screws on the terminal blocks. Fifthly, a torque wrench. This tool is used to tighten the screws to the manufacturer's specified torque. The steps involved in installing DIN rail terminal blocks typically include, firstly, cutting the DIN rail to the desired length using a DIN rail cutter. Secondly, mounting the DIN rail in the control panel or enclosure. Thirdly, selecting the appropriate terminal blocks for the application. Fourthly, snapping the terminal blocks onto the DIN rail. Fifthly, stripping the insulation from the ends of the wires using a wire stripper. Sixthly, crimping ferrules onto the ends of the wires using a crimping tool. Seventhly, inserting the wires into the terminal blocks and tightening the screws using a screwdriver or torque wrench. Eighthly, labeling the terminal blocks to identify the wires connected to them. Proper wiring techniques for DIN rail terminal blocks are crucial for ensuring reliable connections and preventing electrical problems. Firstly, use the correct wire size for the terminal block. The wire size should match the terminal block's rating to ensure a secure and reliable connection. Secondly, strip the insulation to the correct length. Stripping too much insulation can expose bare wire, while stripping too little can prevent a good connection. Thirdly, use ferrules on stranded wire. Ferrules provide a secure and reliable connection for stranded wire and prevent fraying. Fourthly, tighten the screws to the correct torque. Over-tightening can damage the terminal block, while under-tightening can result in a loose connection. Fifthly, route the wires neatly and avoid sharp bends. Proper wire routing helps prevent stress on the connections and makes it easier to troubleshoot problems. Common problems encountered with DIN rail terminal blocks include: firstly, loose connections. Loose connections can cause intermittent electrical problems and can even lead to fires. Secondly, corrosion. Corrosion can occur in harsh environments and can degrade the connections. Thirdly, damaged terminal blocks. Damaged terminal blocks should be replaced immediately to prevent electrical hazards. Fourthly, incorrect wiring. Incorrect wiring can cause electrical problems and can damage equipment. To troubleshoot problems with DIN rail terminal blocks, firstly, inspect the connections for looseness or corrosion. Secondly, check the wiring for accuracy. Thirdly, test the terminal blocks with a multimeter to ensure continuity. Fourthly, replace any damaged terminal blocks. Regular maintenance of DIN rail terminal blocks can help prevent problems and extend their lifespan. Firstly, inspect the connections regularly for looseness or corrosion. Secondly, tighten any loose connections. Thirdly, clean the terminal blocks with a soft cloth to remove dust and debris. Fourthly, replace any damaged terminal blocks. When selecting DIN rail terminal blocks, consider the specific requirements of your application. Firstly, determine the voltage and current requirements. Secondly, select the appropriate wire size. Thirdly, choose the correct terminal type. Fourthly, consider the environmental conditions. Fifthly, comply with applicable codes and standards. Some advanced features and technologies available in DIN rail terminal blocks include: firstly, surge protection. Surge protection terminal blocks protect equipment from voltage surges. Secondly, fuse protection. Fuse protection terminal blocks protect equipment from overcurrents. Thirdly, disconnect functionality. Disconnect terminal blocks allow for easy disconnection of circuits. Fourthly, sensor connections. Sensor connection terminal blocks provide a convenient way to connect sensors to control systems. Fifthly, communication interfaces. Communication interface terminal blocks allow for communication with control systems. When considering the cost-effectiveness of DIN rail terminal blocks, weigh the initial cost against the long-term benefits. Low-cost terminal blocks may be suitable for less demanding applications, while higher-cost terminal blocks may be necessary for critical applications. Consider the cost of installation and maintenance when evaluating the cost-effectiveness of terminal blocks. Easy to install and maintain terminal blocks can save time and money in the long run. The availability of UL-listed DIN rail-mounted terminal blocks can vary depending on the manufacturer and the specific type of terminal block. It is essential to check the product specifications and certifications to ensure that the terminal block meets the requirements of the application. Contacting the manufacturer directly is the best way to verify the UL listing status of a particular terminal block. Be aware of counterfeit terminal blocks. Counterfeit terminal blocks may not meet safety standards and can pose a risk of electrical shock or fire. Purchase terminal blocks from reputable suppliers to avoid counterfeit products. Inspect terminal blocks carefully for signs of tampering or damage. Choose reputable manufacturers that have a proven track record of producing high-quality terminal blocks. Look for manufacturers that have certifications such as ISO 9001, which indicates that they have a quality management system in place. Consider manufacturers that offer technical support and training. Technical support can be helpful when selecting and installing terminal blocks. Training can ensure that installers are properly trained in the correct installation techniques. Stay informed about the latest trends and innovations in DIN rail terminal block technology. New technologies are constantly being developed to improve the performance, safety, and reliability of terminal blocks. Attend industry trade shows and conferences to learn about the latest products and technologies. Read industry publications and online resources to stay up to date on the latest trends. Understanding the key considerations for selecting and installing DIN rail terminal blocks will help you ensure safe and reliable electrical connections in your applications. Consider the electrical characteristics, mechanical characteristics, applicable codes and standards, and best practices for installation and maintenance. By carefully considering these factors, you can select the right terminal blocks for your needs and ensure that they are installed correctly. Always prioritize safety when working with electrical equipment. Follow all safety precautions and wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and gloves. If you are not qualified to work on electrical equipment, consult a qualified electrician. In summary, while many DIN rail-mounted terminal blocks are UL-recognized, UL-listed options are available. The choice depends on the application's specific requirements and applicable codes. Careful consideration of electrical and mechanical characteristics, compliance with standards, and proper installation practices are crucial for ensuring safety and reliability. Always verify the UL listing status with the manufacturer and prioritize purchasing from reputable suppliers to avoid counterfeit products. Staying informed about the latest technologies and trends in terminal block design will help you make informed decisions for your electrical applications. Remember to always prioritize safety and consult with qualified professionals when necessary.